Well, hi everyone. So here's a little update on my carnivore adventures, my carnivore diet, or I'm not going to say diet, I'm going to say healing journey, because really that was my main motivation to doing the carnivore diet, health plan, proper human diet, essential human diet, whatever you want to call it. And I do want to say, you know what? I'm so proud of myself. This is now, tomorrow will be week number 5. And it is shocking to me that I have been able to stick to this way of eating for 4 solid weeks with almost zero, almost zero cheats or mistakes. I did have a little, and I'll tell you about that. So to me, because I have never in the past been able to stick with anything for more than 5 days, right? I just, yeah, you start feeling good, but there's no self-control. By the end of the 5 days, you're like, yeah, I feel pretty good. And then something goes awry. There's no self-control. But with this diet, absolutely, at 100%, there is no, I don't know. There's so much control, and there's a fly flying around. Anyway, what do I want? So I'm very proud of myself. I wanted to go back. I think I covered week 3 before, but I want to go back to week 3 because I wanted to mention what I didn't mention was during week 3, the cravings hit. Like I was eating my meals, and then the little niggle of, oh God, I just want something. I just want something. And I started getting up and looking in the cupboards and looking up at all the stuff I have not thrown away. And I would look at it, and I would have absolutely no desire to take it, to eat it. It's just what I discovered in the evening times. I did, when we do the hormone saliva test, and what came to me based on those saliva tests. Now, all of my saliva, I have like zero functioning hormone, absolutely zero. Everything was flatlined in all the tests, like not functioning at all, except for the cortisol. The only time I get a blip of cortisol is in the evening times, like around 4 or 5 in the evening, and a little bit later. And that's when I get all my energy for the day. Like mornings are terrible. I have no cortisol because I think you're supposed to have a little bit of cortisol to get you going in the morning. Yeah. And what I realized thinking back childhood was that was the period that I have the most stress. That was because I was alone all the time, fending for myself in this big house, feeling weird, feeling lonely, and using food. So, of course, this bump in cortisol, or a little bit of stress, flight or fright kind of energy, um, would indicate not that I'm actually having physical cravings, but that I was using the food to subdue those feelings. So I'm really having to look at this jump in cortisol, and go deeper beyond I just want to stuff my face with some chocolates or something. So I found that very interesting that my cravings only pop up during that time when the cortisol levels go up. But I was so proud of myself. I really didn't even have the desire to dig in. It was just this unsettled energy. So I definitely have got to look deeper into that and just settle my ass down and feel it and let it go. Okay, so week number 4, yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling very tired, and week number 4 was really, really rough, and it's still rough. And here's why. I do think like the first week or 2 with carnivore, depending on your health situation, but for me, it was like the honeymoon period. The body's like, yay, you're giving me proper nutrition. I don't know, big plane going by, and I'm so happy. Yay, let's give her some energy. Let's keep going. But then I think, once the body starts getting its nutrition, then it like opens up because it now it wants to heal, and it opens up and it says, oh, we're so happy, we're so energized, you've given me the proper food, but now we have to reveal to you what's underneath and what has been going on. And so what I didn't mention in all of these videos is that this whole time, and during the carnivore, but part of why I'm on the carnivore is because I constantly am stuffed up, particularly after eating food. But I'm like so sensitive to everything. Like if when I go get a massage, not a massage, but body work, and they use a little oil, like that takes me out for an entire day. And my friend out there that I talk to is like, yeah, that's all she does is sneeze. She sneeze. Like I go into an intense histamine reaction just from the seed oils that they're using on my body. So I for years this has been going on, and this is what led me to this diet, because basically I became allergic to everything, and it really helped to take the lectins out of the food. But it anyway, what am I trying to say? So I was still having the same histamine response while on carnivore, and I thought it was milk related. So I did order some A2 milk and butters from a Miller's farm in Pennsylvania, and it's wonderful. And yeah, that my cat getting a little snack, that seems to be helping an awful lot. But even when I was cutting back, I was cutting back my fat. I was still sneezing after I eat, even eat ground beef and some steaks. And I was waking up and still having fluid in my lungs and just being totally exhausted. And I couldn't figure out why. Well, it turns out, yeah, so what happened is during the third week or after the fourth week, I went and I got some blood work. And thank God, everything turned out okay. I mean, like I'm on all the, so when what is it? Dr. Barry says, you know, we don't really care about anything but your A1C and your fasting insulin. And if your A1C is 5.6 or below, you're good. And that's exactly what mine was, 5.6, and my glucose level, which I know is not really needed, but all my LDLs and all that sort of stuff were just like on the level and below. So I'm like in the good zone. So I can't imagine what my blood work would have been had I done it before I started the carnivore. But there were a marker or two that indicated that, you know, there is an autoimmune or some underlying chronic infection. Well, I knew that. And then being led, I don't know how, you know, I came home and was looking at stuff, and all of a sudden I came across mast cell activation syndrome and histamine intolerances, and ding ding ding, yes, that is me completely. And these things develop when you have an autoimmune problem, chronic infection. It's I don't know all that much about it at this point because I'm just kind of overwhelmed and really tired. But it's kind of like your body goes with cannot handle anything. It's ultra sensitive, and it goes into just overload of histamine reaction to anything, and it can affect certain parts of the body. Mine affects the whole head, headaches, fluid in the lungs, so it's hard to breathe, and it just is a wear and tear on your body because your body is keeps trying to fight something, and the moment something comes in, it can't handle everything. Anyway, so that's what I've discovered is going on. And what happened, and also in discovering, so you develop a histamine intolerance. Well, apparently in ground beef, are lots of histamine. So that, I mean, I was like, why am I so sneezing? Like I'll eat it and I start sneezing, and then I'm just filling up, and at night my lungs are wheezing or crackling. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And so that makes you extremely tired. So this fourth week has been exhausting. So I've got to work on that. And the fourth week I was eating some leftovers, and apparently that's a no-no, because the longer you keep meat that isn't frozen, or if you buy meat on sale, yes, I did that, and you keep it in the fridge, well, it keeps building up the histamines. And so you go to eat it, and then say you save it for the next day. Well, that piece even has more. And that, I absolutely can see that happening. It absolutely happens. So, yeah, it's disappointing, but it's good to know that this is what's going on inside of me. The disappointing part is that it's going to take a little longer for me to heal, right? There are some miraculous stories of healing. Particularly, there's this young lady. I encourage everybody to just go listen to her story. Her channel is Ribeye Rach, R-A-C-H. I mean, that poor girl, what she's gone through, but she had like a bazillion other things going on, but she also had the mast cell syndrome as well. And yeah, it's miraculous. So it did take her a while to heal. So I absolutely have a long way to go. Yeah, so the fourth week was a little exhausting because I'm still experiencing histamine stuff, but now I know what the cause is. I'm being more cautious. I will get an air fryer so I can take things right from the freezer into the fryer. And I will be more cautious about, when I buy stuff at the grocery store, immediately put it in the freezer. And here's what happened. Because I was just kind of overwhelmed with all this information this past week, I did not plan. I didn't pull things out of the freezer. And so it wasn't that I was wanting to cheat, is that first of all, what I didn't mention is by the fourth week, and this happens to everybody on the carnivore journey, I lost my appetite and I couldn't stomach looking at or eating meat. It's like everything went away. This is very common. This happens to everybody at some point on their journey. And it hit me last week. So I was like, I didn't have planning about food. I didn't have a hunger cue. And so in trying to reduce histamines by thinking it was milk, which it was, I was reducing my fat, and also I wasn't eating very much. This was causing all of adding to the exhaustion. And during that week, I did have a low depressive episode. And I know it's because I was cutting back on the fat, and just a mood came over me, and it just went into boohoo mode. And so I can absolutely see how important fat and eating enough is for your mental health and just your energy levels as well. But I know everybody goes through a week like this, and that's totally fine. Now I just know I've went and done shopping. I've got to really kind of force myself to eat more and get the fat in. I can't be afraid of the fat. I'm not that I was afraid, but I was afraid it was histamine. And so what happens with this mast cell activation syndrome and even just histamine intolerance is your gut is just so off from eating all the foods that you just really weren't meant to eat, whether it be, fruits, vegetables, and grains, and you're thinking you're eating a healthy vegetarian, vegan lifestyle. But what it does is it changes your natural gut biome, and it turns it into something it never should have been. And so now I'm on a journey to heal the gut. And I have to thank Ribeye Rach and Dr. Ken Berry for the recommendation of these ancestral supplements that really help rebuild the gut lining. And, I'm not thrilled to be taking supplements that are, cow intestines, cow thymus, kidneys, and of course beef liver. but these are all necessary. And this is what helped that young lady, Ribeye Rach, on her journey. And this is what Ken Berry recommends. And so, yeah, I've started taking these. I'm just on my second day. And you're supposed to take 6 of each, but I'm only at 3 each because they say to start slowly. But anyway, I do feel like I can feel that, I don't know, maybe it's just the placebo effect, but I kind of feel like something is happening in my body, that my body likes these. Yeah, so anyway, I wasn't planning during the 4th week, and I had 2 days back to back where I just was like, okay, I can't get that to de-thaw fast enough. I'm starving. I need something. And oh yeah, I finally got the ground beef, and it was an older ground beef. Ooh, I'm embarrassed. But then I had some butternut squash soup, and I mixed that in there. Bad mistake. Bad mistake. While it tasted very delicious, I woke up the next day, and guess what? Oh, yeah, and prior to that, it's kind of weird. I was having that anxiety the day before, in the evening time, and I just said, "I need something." And even though I didn't really want something, I almost wanted to force myself to have a cheat just to see what it would be like to have a cheat. It was a very weird feeling. I didn't want to, but I was like, just do it. Oh, yeah. And that was the day that I was like, oh, I got my labs, and I just discovered about this mast cells stuff and histamine intolerances. And I was just feeling like, God, this is going to take a really long time to heal. And I was feeling a little down. And it was a move of self-sabotage. And I could totally see it, but I allowed it because I wanted to see. And I had 2 cupfuls of pecans. Now I know that that's not a big cheat. It's not like I had chips or something, but I was really going for it. And they had a bunch of salt. I was adding salt. So I did that. And the next day I woke up, and I was, I could feel a little difference, but not much. But then that day I did the butternut squash, and the next morning I woke up and my knees were hurting again. It was like I had the headache. It was like I was prior to starting this diet. And it took about 2 days. Yeah, 2 days today, where I woke up and I could feel, okay, my knees are not hurting anymore. But it just shows that if you are on this diet for healing, you have autoimmune or histamine intolerances or something like that, there is no room for error, because you will absolutely feel it. And I think maybe even in general, if you have just general aches and pains, there's no room for error. You've got to give your body time. You've got to fix the gut biome, and later on you could potentially add a few things back in, but in the beginning, uh, it's really hard. Yeah, if you have autoimmune or something like that, I can see its effects. So I have to be much more strict. Um, yeah, and just do a better job. But anyway, I think these supplements are going to be a big help. And the weight loss is still going, but I could tell it's slowing down. And of course it slowed down, right? Because I was eating less fat. I was eating less in general. But it's still slowly going down. But I will say those 2 days, 2 or 3 days where I was ate wrong food, I could feel the swelling coming back in my body. So, wow. I mean, it just shows you, if the body reacts, that these foods are inflammatory. You don't need them. Don't eat them. You don't need them. Don't eat them. Anyway, so tomorrow starts week 5, and I plan on doing much better. And sorry, this was a long video. I'll let you know.